April 1st is coming and I am so excited. It is my favorite holiday by far because I love making people laugh and I love tricking people. Some April 1st, I've done 20, 30 successful pranks, meaning that people believed me until I asked them what day it is. And sometimes it took them a while to realize I was actually pranking them. So that's what I believe a successful prank is. Also, I believe in pranks where the pranker and the prankee both laugh. I'm not into mean-spirited pranks. So, what are some of my tips and tricks for awesome April Fool's jokes? Well, first of all, I want to say I ski a lot. So a lot of these are going to be at a ski resort. And the great thing about skiing or being out in public is there's more strangers you can prank. So I at a ski resort a lot for April 1st. So one of the biggest secrets about an April 1st joke is really believing the story you're telling and just have fun with it. Let your imagination just go wild. And there's a few different types of April 1st tricks. So one of them is you start semi-believable and then you get weirder and weirder. For example, I was at a ski resort and I asked these people, hey, did you get the free cake? Free cake, pretty darn believable. But then I start saying, how amazing, delicious it was. And then I start saying, can you believe how big it was? It was huge. It was like the size of a block. I can't believe they made it that big. And you just get it weirder and weirder. And if you started believable enough at the beginning, a lot of times people will go on a ride for really weird stuff. Like one time I told my friend, not totally believable, but I said, hey, I feel so lucky. I want to tell you I was just given a museum. He's like, wow, that's great. And I said, well, actually, it's a museum of mold. It was in Seattle. So kind of believable. And he goes, wow, that's amazing. I go, tell everyone. He was at work. And then I just kept making it weirder and weirder. I said, yeah, in order to do it, I need to do like 25 jumping jacks and 40 push-ups just to make sure that I'm in shape. He's like, really? I'm like, yeah, tell everyone. So he kind of was pranking people through me because he totally believed it. And it was just a great April 1st joke. Another time you do something that's really unbelievable. But if you do something that's unbelievable, then you have to act like you can't believe this is happening. So an example of this one is, again, I was at Vail and I was riding on a gondola with these people. And I said, my God, can you believe it? That email. It's also a presumption that they know what's going on, but of course they don't because you're making it up. And they're like, what email? I go, didn't you hear? Like if you apply and you're one of the first 1,000 people and you do it by noon, you get a free pass for Vail Resorts for next year. And they're like, really? I'm like, yeah, I couldn't believe it because it's so unbelievable. You can't believe it. They were actually going to end skiing early just to try and get the April 1st pass. So I told them, of course, before they left and didn't enjoy the skiing because that's me. You wanted to stay nice. So another great thing is to be inspired by your surroundings. So one of them, it might start as not sounding really nice, but it's actually fun. I see strangers up by a parking meter and they're about to pay it. And I go, hey, don't you know today is Parking Meter Patron Appreciation Day? I like saying that. Parking Meter Patron Appreciation Day. Say it 10 times fast. And you don't have to feed the meters. And of course, before they walk away, I tell them, hey, April 1st, happy April 1st, because you don't want anyone to get a ticket. Again, fun if you catch them before, and I always caught them before. The other thing that you can do is be inspired by things that have happened before April 1st. I have a couple examples of this. I was living with my roommates, TJ, also goes by the name Tom, and Ron. And for some reason, I didn't get TJ a present for his birthday. And Ron could not stop giving me hell about not giving TJ a present for his birthday. He's like, when are you going to get TJ's present? When are you going to get TJ's present? I think this went on for 1 or 2 months beforehand. So on April 1st, I went to the pet store and I had them fill out an adoption certificate for a cow. And then to make it more realistic, I bought like a little present at the 99-cent store and I wrapped that too. And he unwrapped that as a little something. And then he got the gift certificate for the cow, the adoption certificate, I mean. And he said, a cow? I don't want a cow. let me put this in greater perspective. We had a dog and we were about to get a goat. And after that, because my roommate Ron loves animals, and after that, we were going to get a monkey in California. We really weren't supposed to, but I'm not going to go into that right now. So a cow kind of fit in. And Ron's like, but where are we going to keep a cow? At which point, I mean, TJ is like, where are we going to keep a cow? Because he didn't really want a cow. And Ron at this point he loves animals. He's why we're getting all these weird animals. He's like, oh, cool. This is awesome. I said, oh, I thought we could empty the garage. And at which point TJ's like, I don't want a cow. I'm like, well, it's too late. They said they're going to be here at 5 a.m. on Monday. And at which point I couldn't stop from laughing. So I actually locked myself in the bathroom, pretending to cry for 45 minutes. So the joke was a little bit on me too. Another great example about things that are planned ahead of time is my boyfriend and I, it was our first year dating, our first April 1st, and he knew he had to watch out for me because I already told him it's my favorite holiday. But anyway, 2 years ago, there's a really hard time getting yeast. And I'd already asked him, if his mom had yeast. I really literally could not find yeast. I wound up actually getting it from a pizza place. Like I just gave them a couple bucks and they gave me some of their yeast. But anyway, I couldn't find yeast. So I just hit the table. So sorry about the shake. So what I actually did is that day of April 1st, I'm like, oh my gosh, I already planted this seed. This already happened beforehand. So I texted him. I said, so is there any way, well, he worked at King Soopers. That's like a Kroger brand. I was like, could you see if you guys have any fermented maple leaves? Because I can't find any yeast and it's a good substitute. But the 5-pack is fine. I don't need the 50-pack because we only need one. So, putting it in context, and because I planted the seeds beforehand and because I made it seem realistic, because I was really in the story, he believed me until I went further and further. And eventually she's like, you got me. And I was really watching out for you. So another thing is you want to also presume that they already know what you're talking about. So one time I was staying in a hotel at a ski resort. Anyway, so I went down to the front desk and I said to them, congratulations, that's awesome. See, presumption they know, because April 1st, you'd have to like feed them all the information, but you presume that they know. And they're like, what are you talking about? I'm like, the reality show that's super awesome. And they're like, I don't know about a reality show, because it's an April 1st joke. Of course they don't. But I pretend like, oh my gosh, you haven't heard? They picked your hotel. All the hotel employees here are going to be on this reality show. And they're like, really? I'm like, yeah, I'm surprised you didn't hear about it. It was on the news. It's so exciting. And then I started going into the challenges. One of my favorite challenges I mentioned was, it was a moose taming contest. I'm like, are you going to be scared of that? They're like, I'm going to go for it. I'm like, I'd be scared, but I heard that, they're going to make sure it's all safe, keeping it in reality. And I just went on for a while. And actually, he believed me hours later, the manager did. He's like, hey, come on back. We have a job for you behind the front desk too. So then after I had to tell him before April 1st was over, I made that mistake once. I'll get into that later. So I told him, I said, he's like, I can't believe it. I go, but the manager thought he believed it, but the manager didn't tell him before he left it was a joke. So I said, how about if you tell him that you bought this really expensive costume because you're super excited about the reality show? And I don't know if you ever did that, but anyway, it was really fun. So getting back to, don't forget to tell people it's an April 1st joke before the end of April 1st. I made that mistake. I was doing a couchsurfing.com and I stayed at this really nice guy's house. And in Austin, Texas, there's this creek that I think they've dammed up some way so you can actually swim there. So I thought it'd be a great April 1st joke to say that they're doing a special couch surfing project so people can actually stay at the creek. And I was wondering, and he wasn't there, so I left him a message and said, they're doing this special couch surfing project and they're trying to get as many couches as they can at this creek. And so people can literally couch surf at the creek. Would you be interested in helping out? And so I left the message because he wasn't there. I tried calling back a few more hours and he wasn't there. So I was like, oh, I'll just call him later. And I forgot. And a few days later, he called me and he said, oh my gosh, I'm so excited about this couch surfing project. I'm like, oh, oops, that was an April 1st joke. But he still laughed, but it was still kind of like, it's better to tell him on April 1st. So yeah, just always just have fun, get weirder and weirder and weirder. Because if you start believing what you say and start small, you can get as weird as you want and just have a great time. And I want to say, have an awesome April 1st and feel free to leave some of your ideas about April 1st jokes in the comment below. Feel free to like, subscribe, and I look forward to hearing about your April 1st adventures. And I look forward to telling you about some of mine. Happy April 1st.